Okay, in this video, we're going to load a bunch of data into the Postgres, the PG vector database, and then we are going to see how we can actually fetch data, that is the similarity search over this data that we created. But the first step is that we have to generate the embeddings, which is not an easy task. And trust me, if you know the correct APIs, then it's a cakewalk. And Spring AI is, of course, going to help us here. So, what I'm going to do is this vector store. I had done some POC on this. So, let me just truncate this. So, we have the empty table now. So the content is going to be loaded from our application. So what I've done is, once you have this table created, make sure you have this extension also added, right? We need these two extensions. One is the UUID, second is the vector extension. Otherwise, it is just going to behave like a Postgres database. One more thing I want to call out, the driver which you connect for this PG vector is the same as Postgres, because essentially it's just Postgres with a vector extension, right? So yeah, that's one more thing. So what we'll do is, now the database is up, the application is up, so the database is running. Once we have this PG vector dependency, we can connect it and we can load some data. So what I've done is, in the environment variable file, I have set the flag as load true. Load data at startup, this is the environment variable. And this file, env file, I'm not going to show you this file because I've added my secret and access key. But just remember, I have loaded the data, the variable as load data equal to true. So this is going to be true, and this if block is going to get executed. Here I have some English sentences, right? So you can have a look at all these from the GitHub repo, but you can see they are not related to each other. So this talks about stock market, this talks about Scotland being Europe's most beautiful country. So this one talks about India is a strong democracy. So they're quite different in terms of subjects, right? One talks about technology, one talks about investment, one talks about blockchain, right? So they are not related to each other, but they have some similar uh, statements, like Postgres and Redis and Kubernetes. All three are related to technology, right? So this kind of data we are going to load into the database now. So how to do that? Is it very difficult? No, it's not. There's just one vector store bean that you have to add. This bean gets auto configured via the property files. So we added this bunch of properties. So here, this is the property which is going to be used for loading the vector store, this one. So you can just copy it. So dimensions is a number of array elements which the vector has. So in our case, it is 1024. It depends on model to model. So just refer the documentation of the model which you're using. Then we've got the similarity algorithm. There can be Manhattan distance, Euclidean distance. For now, we are going with cosine distance. Then we've got index type as HNSW and max document size. So we'll be looking at all these properties later on. But for now, just imagine that you have the data source configured. We have the vector bean available, vector store bean. And for generating the vectors, we need a embedding model. So that is going to be Titan embedding, this model we are going to use. You can have this from the environment file also, but for now I've just gone for hard coded, right? So that's it. Once we have these sentences, we are going to convert them into something known as a Spring AI document. So this is the class which the Spring guys have come up with. So you have to convert them into the Spring documents. You have to add this list of documents into the vector store. So that's all. This will do the insert query. So if you just go inside this add method, go into the implementation, you'll see that there is a do add method. Inside do add, you can go to the two configured implementations. One is PG vector. So as you can see, we've got embed here, right? So we can just go in. This is going to generate the embedding. So you can come back. And then we're going to insert, or so this is the SQL native SQL query, and using JDBC, this is going to actually insert it for us. So everything is happening under the hood once we call this add method. So what we'll do is we'll restart the application. The container will restart, and we will have all these sentences loaded into the vector database. So that's how easy it is. That is what I'm trying to show you in this video. So again, the containers are going to be loaded. The image is not going to be pulled, just the container is going to be restarted. So we have all this, and as you can see, we have the application running now. So let's look into the database table. We had it here. Yeah, so I'm just going to refresh. And you see all this sentence, all the data has been loaded into this vector store, 18 sentences, and the embeddings have been generated using the AWS provided LLM, the embedding model, right? So they make no sense to us, but if you just go and count the number of elements in this, it is going to be 1024. So that is how you generate embeddings and load them into the vector store. So that's it for now. Thank you.